104.5 The Team, your home for Han, Humpty, Canty, and everybody. Right now we've got Humpty with us, Rick DiPietro. First things first, like our phone line's been blowing up here, Humpty, about what the Jets are doing. What do you see their actions as? What are your thoughts?
Well, I think as a Jets fan, obviously you would like to see a team that's competitive, but I think we all realize at this point it's time to blow this thing up. I don't think you necessarily, especially with David Harris, love the timing of it. And I'm sure that David Harris and his agents don't love the timing of it. But, I mean, if you're Mike Maccagnan and you know this team's not going to be very good, I mean, the best thing to do for you to keep your job is to save the owner as much money as possible. And I think that's what they've done so far. I think that's now $68 million in savings they have now since the end of the offseason, since the start of the offseason. So, listen, they're not going to be a very good team. You know, in my opinion, the one position that they obviously need to address the most is quarterback, and it just so happens that 2018 is going to be strong, you know, and deep with quarterback. Listen, you're playing a tough schedule. You let the schedule kind of rebuild your team for you, and hopefully you start to see some growth from the young players, the Darren Lees, the Lorenzo Maldens, more from Leonard Williams and Jamal Adams, and we'll see moving forward if Todd Bowles can prove to Mike Maccagnan and Woody Johnson that he's capable of developing young players.
Humpty with us right now. So Harris is a guy that, you know, we hear as your Jets station in the Capital Region. Like we fell in love with this guy. We love the way he does his business. Do you think he keeps playing?
Do I think he keeps playing? I think he probably would like to keep playing. I think the scariest place for a veteran player to be right now for the Jets is in the weight room. It seems like every time you're in the weight room as a veteran player, they ask you to take a pay cut. It happened with the Brickashaw Ferguson, now with David Harris. I think you could just tell by listening to what Todd Bowles had to say at his press conference that he wasn't necessarily all in with this decision. I mean, at the end of the day, we all understand it's business, and, you know, Mike Maccagnan's trying to get him to take less money. But if you're David Harris, I mean, 10 years as a Jet, I mean, why would I take less to give you the same kind of production I've given you on a team that's not going to win very many games? So, I mean, for him, it's a no-brainer. We'll see what he wants to do, but I'm sure there's a team out there that would probably want to give him an opportunity to come in and help out.
You guys had a relationship with Eric Decker on your show. Was there ever an indication from him that he thought he may not be back on this team in 2017?
Nothing we heard from him. Obviously, he was more concerned about getting himself right. He had the shoulder surgery, he had the hip surgery, and I think the writing was on the wall last year that team wasn't going to make the playoffs. So he wanted to make sure he was healthy. It's interesting, though. I mean, if you're trying to develop a young quarterback, if you feel like Christian Hackenberg or Bryce Petty can be that guy, I mean, you know, part of me feels like you probably would want to have more of a veteran wide receiver to help them out. At the end of the day, you probably did Eric Decker a favor. Now he gets to go to a team once he's healthy where maybe he can compete to be in the playoffs or compete for a championship. Because I think when you look at what happened with this Jets team last year, when you're trying to rebuild or you don't think you're very good and you got a bunch of veteran guys that want to win now on a team, you're going to have a situation where the locker room gets a little bit out of control. I don't think Todd Bowles did a good job necessarily of handling his locker room, but guys that want to win, and all of a sudden, you know, 3 weeks we find out into the season that no one felt like they could win anymore, and it was going to be about developing young players. You're going to get some angry guys in that locker room, and I think that's what they're trying to avoid this year is having, you know, veteran guys that are expecting to win in that locker room, knowing that the goal is to develop young players and hopefully get the highest draft pick possible.
104.5 The Team, your home for Han, Humpty, Canty, and everybody. Humpty, my biggest disappointment in all this, and as much as I loved watching Decker play as a Jet and everything, I thought for sure his wife was just going to go nuclear on Twitter. I did not walk to her Twitter site to see what she would say. She's been nothing but respectful. Are you shocked that she didn't blow up on the Jets?
No, I'm not shocked. I mean, listen, it's probably a different conversation if he's 100% healthy and they waited this long to finally make the move. I mean, I think as far as the whole situation is concerned, that's the one thing you could probably criticize the Jets about a little bit is, you know, letting these guys actually out on the practice field knowing the whole time that you were probably going to cut them or you were going to ask them to take pay cuts knowing that they're probably not going to accept the pay cut. So it's something as a Jets fan you figured was probably going to happen, but the timing of it could have been better.
Tomorrow, Game 5 of the Stanley Cup. Series tying up 2 games apiece. Sunday is kind of what I'm looking at, though. It's Game 6, and this series goes back to Nashville. When did Nashville become this crazy hockey town? Had you and maybe other hockey people known that this city is so passionate about that team?
Listen, we love going to play in Nashville. I mean, anytime you can head over to Tootsie's, get some live music, get some good barbecue, you're happy. But I think Carrie Underwood was on during Game 4 after the first period, and the point she made I thought was a great point, is that it's it's on the team in cities that don't traditionally have hockey to teach the fans about the game. And I think Nashville's done a great job teaching their fans about the game. And she made the point that everyone in that building feels like they're a part of the Nashville Predators. They feel like, they're that seventh player during the course of the game. And I think the way you see Nashville play on home ice during this playoffs is there's something to be said about that. I mean, they feed off that energy. They use it the right way. And, I mean, what other place in professional sports right now in the National Hockey League you have a whole side of an arena stand up the entire game? It doesn't happen.
Crazy. I love watching the atmosphere there in Nashville. I also love watching SportsCenter on the weekends because I get to see what you wear on SportsCenter. Can you give us a preview of what might be on the slate of wardrobe for Humpty this weekend?
I'm not 100% sure yet. I was a little disappointed last week. I'll be completely honest with you. I had the catfish and everything else ready to go for SportsCenter. I think Barry and Linda were actually live in Nashville, so I understood. But now, you know what? It's going to be interesting. I got to figure it out. I got some ideas, but I haven't really. We'll see what happens tomorrow. That may dictate what I'm going to wear on Sunday.
Humpty from Humpty, Canty, and everybody right now on 104.5 Team. Before I let you go, I'm a diehard Yankee fan. Red Sox fans are enjoying my presence today. Tanaka, keep him in the roster. What do you do? Give him a rest? Anything?
You know what? Listen, this is the weird part about this whole situation is they can't pinpoint what's wrong, right? Like, he's in a situation where it's probably a different conversation we're having right now if we didn't know that he had a partially torn UCL. But, I mean, since that was diagnosed, he's pitched fine in a season where he's able to opt out if he wants to. Now, in his mind, he must be thinking, I've had this UCL tear the whole time. I'm in this team's ace, so I'm going to go out there, pitch the way I normally pitch, and now I'll have the option to get out of this deal and sign a long-term deal, or at the end of the day, if things don't work out, I'll still have the 3 years and the $67 million left to fall back on. But if you're the Yankees, I think you need to realize how important he is to your success. I mean, yeah, you got a great bullpen. Chapman's hurt right now, but if you're a team that wants to win the AL East, you need Tanaka to be your ace. Because, again, I mean, CeCe's pitched great, but how much longer can you count on that? Severino's been great. Pineda's been good. Montgomery's been a pleasant surprise, but, I mean, you penciled Tanaka in to start this season as your ace, and right now, especially over the last 5 starts, he's been bad. He's been really bad, and I think it's funny being here in New York City because, these teams that we're talking about, the Mets and the Yankees, they're aces. Right now, they're struggling. I mean, DeGrom had another bad outing for the Mets. Matt Harvey struggled. Noah Syndergaard is hurt. I don't know if it's a health issue or whatever it is, but you can clearly see when Tanaka's on the mound, there's a lack of confidence right now. There's some self-doubt, and the only recipe for me having played professional sports is to keep going out there and trying to make it work. And once you find some success, then maybe you start building some of that confidence back. But right now, man, it doesn't look good for him.
Humpty, we appreciate you making time for us, and we look forward to hearing you again tomorrow right here on 104.5 The Team.
Always a pleasure, fellas.